We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. New York City will open a city-run gender-affirming care clinic in Queens this summer, offering low or no-cost hormone therapy to transgender adults amid growing federal scrutiny.
As Pulse's 10-year anniversary nears, families of victims question police response delays, citing survivable injuries and missed rescue opportunities.
RuPaul's campy comedy Stop That Train debuts with an 80% Rotten Tomatoes rating. Starring Ginger Minj and Jujubee, critics praised its humor, heart, and drag-powered underdog adventure.
Pope Leo condemned war and civilian deaths during a Barcelona visit, deepening his dispute with Trump over Iran. He urged peace, migrant compassion, and the rejection of justifications for conflict.
Several celebrities are reportedly declining White House UFC invitations as criticism grows, and a lawsuit seeks to block the event too.
All this important LGBTQ plus news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 12 million views. We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, June 11th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show. Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ plus community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Happening Out South Florida.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 11,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voices as our anchors. Together, we host the show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Welcome to the show, Alex. What's happening?
Thank you, Larry. I'm so glad to see everyone. And I do want to remind people that if you are a Wilton Manors resident and you desire to run for office, local office, you have till noon tomorrow. So if you're watching that tonight, if you're watching that this next week, never mind. But noon tomorrow, go to City Hall and file. Just run. It's fun. Give yourself a good time. And hopefully you won't, hate democracy after the situation.
It's great to have you here. Let's welcome anchor Dr. Bobby Huen, a world traveler and well-versed in global affairs. Bobby provides an international perspective on current events, a PhD in conflict resolution. Bobby is a certified civil and family mediator and the founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Welcome to the show, Bobby. How are
Thank
you?
you, Larry. How are you?
I'm
How are
great.
things in Wilton Manor?
I'm getting excited for Pride in a week or so.
I know, it's scorching hot. Hopefully it won't rain. That's
Yes,
the only thing.
Yeah. And thank God they do the parade at night.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. He is also a board member of the West Side Association. Welcome to the show, Larry. How are you doing, girl?
I'm good. Good to be here, honey. Good to be with you, gentlemen.
Awesomeness.
I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up trans rights. New York City to open gender-affirming care clinic for adults as access for trans youth remains limited. New York City health officials plan to open a new city-run gender-affirming care clinic in Corona, Queens, expanding access to transgender health care as federal pressure on providers continues to grow. However, the clinic will only serve adults aged 19 and older. The proposal was discussed during a New York City Council budget hearing where Health Commissioner Alistair Martin said the initiative marks, quote, one of the first times that the Public Health Department has ever taken that step, end quote. The announcement comes as two major New York City health systems, NYU Langone Health and Mount Sinai Hospital System, have suspended gender-affirming care programs for minors, leaving many families searching for alternatives. Martin acknowledged concerns for access for transgender youth. Quote, we are committed to the issue and we want to make sure the services and resources for youth, end quote, he said. Still, we don't want to expose ourselves to clawbacks from the federal government, which disrupt the rest of the care that we can give, end quote. A spokesperson for New York City's health service said the clinic will begin offering gender-affirming hormone therapy to adults 19 and older later this summer. Services will be available at low or no cost, regardless of immigration status. The move comes amid increased federal scrutiny of gender-affirming care, including efforts by the Trump administration to obtain medical records related to transgender youth. Well, I'm glad that people are fighting the fight in New York, and I hope it continues, and certainly across the country. It's so important right now that no matter what crazy things are emanating from our administration and what they're looking to do with the supporters, that we continue this fight for our trans brothers and sisters. What do you think?
Well, I want to thank Mayor Mamdani and the Shakira law that he champions for it to happen, or is it Shania law? But I don't remember. Anyways, the whole thing is that at the ferry, it is it the whole thing? No, I'm sure transgender youth and their families will be disappointed. Unfortunately, there's also the reality that there's the federal purse hanging over everyone's head in terms of Medicaid and in terms of federal grants, and of course, if there's any private donation or private clinic that can be set up using private, non-federal, non-governmental money in order to fund a clinic that will focus on trans youth, that would be great. And here, some of you, the non-evil billionaires, just step up now. And
Well, I don't know if a non-evil billionaire exists. We'll have to do research on that. I first learned of this entire story through a trans journalist named Caitlin Burns. She has her Burns Notice as her Substack. And she referred to this as leaving trans kids remain out to dry. And I love Mamdani, but I'll also be the first one to say, you have to hit them when they don't do everything perfect. Yes, this is a good step. We need this because, let's just be honest. Hospitals have been proving again and again that they are not standing for queer people in this situation. The slightest pressure, they are folding. They're refusing to take care of our community. It is shocking, and it is an indictment on our health system overall. That being said, reporters like Burns, they have every right to demand more for trans youth. Trans youth can't wait. I do hope that Mamdani comes up with a solution quickly, but if he doesn't, that will be a blotch on his record.
I mean, they're just waving sage around Madison Square Garden. There's bad juju to be expelled.
I hear you on that, but with all seriousness, it is important that we do more with trans youth. And I'm also not entirely shocked that he created a program like this. And I know the Public Health Commission, it's so different, but reminds me a little bit of his grocery stores. It's very much in line with his policies. It's just, I hope he finds a way to help trans youth. It's really desperately needed.
Yeah, well, we certainly wish the trans community in New York and throughout the United States and the globe well, and especially hopefully there'll be some shifting and supporting gender-affirming care for our youth that want it and need it. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.
I'm Alex Morash, and let's clear up the USA View. Families of Pulse victims renew questions about police response ahead of 10-year anniversary. 10 years after the Pulse nightclub massacre, some families of the victims are again questioning whether a faster police response could have saved lives. Christopher Drew Leononen's mother, Christine Leononen, alleges delays by law enforcement contributed to her son's death. Leononen, who was 32 when he was killed, was reportedly shot 9 times during the attack. Asked whether her son could have survived if police had acted differently, Christine Leononen said, quote, "Absolutely. My son was such a good human being. He finally met the man he was going to marry. It's just an injustice all the way around," end quote. Belanette Ocasio-Capo, sister of victim Luis Omar Ocasio-Capo, also criticized the response, saying, quote, "Seeing the camera footage of police just on their phones chilling while my brother was literally bleeding out for over 30 minutes when they could have saved him," end quote. The Pulse nightclub shooting took place on June 12, 2016 at a Florida nightclub hosting a Latin-themed event. The attack killed 49 people and injured 58 others. More than 300 people were inside the venue when gunman Omar Mateen opened fire. He was later killed by police after a standoff lasting about 3 hours. A 2018 report on survivable wounds found that 16 victims died from injuries that may have been treatable. As the LGBTQ community prepares to mark the tragedy's 10-year anniversary, families continue to call for accountability while honoring the 49 lives lost. Well, yeah, this is one of those really difficult discussions because you have a few things going on. I want to just make sure that we're aware of you have one, did the police act fast enough, and then also I do want to acknowledge that it is this idea that good guy with gun will instantly solve problem, and that is not how it works. For those that don't know, there was actually an officer at Pulse at the time, Adam Groller. He was doing an extra shift at doing security, and he and 2 SWAT team officers very quickly tried to engage with them. But it's just a tactical disadvantage when you're not a suicidal maniac facing a suicidal maniac. And this is not the first time, Columbine, the officer, engaged in the hallway with the 2 shooters. And in Dallas, just a month after Pulse, there was a shooter specifically targeting police. He killed 5, injured, I think, 9 others. They did not stop him with a gun. They put a bomb onto a robot and drove the bomb over. So a good guy with gun thing doesn't work. That being said, this is specifically accusing them of inaction, of waiting too long, which we did see accusations like that at Parkland and in Aurora. And it is a very hard topic. I try to remind people first and foremost, we can't expect the police to be superheroes. I can't stand that myth. At the same time, that does not mean police are completely without question, and this is a disturbing story.
And I think our culture is also inundated by the myth. I mean, we call some of these shows, we call propaganda. Because, on network television, every single network, ABC, CBS, doesn't matter. There's always a cop show. How long has SVU been around?
Yeah.
Olivia Benson is supposed to solve every sex crime within an hour. And people who watch shows that they think that cops are just full of high-tech gadgets and ram through gates and perform heroics. But the truth is, they are people too. And I'm not excusing the cops. But when there's a crazy person, when there's one who is committed to extract as much damage as possible in a situation like this, I don't know if the delay is inevitable or is it unjustifiable. It's now 10 years, and unfortunately we have other things to worry about. For example, the state, literally Ron DeSantis is trying to erase our identity by erasing the Rainbow Cross rock that literally stand in front of the site as the sign is now coming down and the building is being demolished in favor of a permanent memorial.
Well, here's the question, though. If this attack didn't happen at a queer nightclub, but happened at a yacht club for rich old white men, would police have waited 3 hours? That, I think, is a very fair question.
I think police will also fear that he will kill more of the old white male members.
Well, and I know this might get some criticism, but if we've seen it happen, if an incident happened up north in Mar-a-Lago, it would be contained immediately. So, we have to look at, the reaction time, proper training, funding. I know there's some people, we have our upcoming event in Wilton Manors on the 20th. I personally support people being screened to go in. We've actually had people try to infiltrate the event last year. We certainly want to prevent any tragedies like this in the future.
No, I feel like the main reason, I talked about the police security guard with the nightclub is I see a lot of people not even talk about Pride, because they have more than one or two people.
Sure,
it's a whole big thing, and we can debate that later. But when I see, some of the little queer bars that never seem to have any instances, to my knowledge, they'll have a security guard pat you down. People are like, well, they're doing that to prevent another pulse. I'm like, no, you really need to understand that that's not how you prevent another pulse. If you really, really want to prevent another pulse, you need to start banning weapons of mass destruction known as semi-automatic weapons. The fire rate that the gun in this particular shooting was able to fire, I think, something like 50 clips and 50 bullets in a small amount of time. Because I wrote about this when this first happened at the Washington Blade, and just you think about it, 300 people were there, and over 100, 1 out of 3 people was either killed or injured by that gunman. That gun was able to do that. If that kid was wielding a machete, first off, the officer would have been able to stop him. The security guard could have stopped the machete. But a gun like that, that's so powerful that it overpowered 3 officers at the beginning.
And the thing is, as long as certain parties are in power, they are going to just keep dismantling these. Florida now, basically, you don't even need a permit to open carry or conceal carry. You can go pretty much bring your gun anywhere, and you try to say that they're not welcome. They scream Second Amendment in your face and make threats. And currently, I think the legislature is trying to even remove the 3-day waiting period to purchase a gun. And then they try to weaken red flag laws. And this whole myth of the myth of the good guy with a gun doesn't track when you have people basically walking around like they're preparing for a shootout, OK Corral at any second.
Well, on the red flag law, the last year's Pride, it was a red flag incident. He was not supposed to have a gun because of the red flag law. So if that law gets repealed, would he have been... Would he have technically been within would he have been violating the law?
And I'm not a gun expert by any means. I have family up north who do carry, and they often ask why I don't, and that's a personal choice. But one has to ask, even in Florida, where we have, we're a red state, why somebody needs to have a super automatic gun that can, that's really meant for battle and not for everyday use.
Exactly. And hotheads, I say this as a hothead, I should not have a friggin' firearm. Why are they, go on. No.
I think it's part of the thing is that, once again, our culture has taught us to be just super paranoid. There's a crime around every corner. We have news broadcasters basically everything is crime written. Someone with a gun is hiding every corner. Yeah. When people feel unsafe, they will grasp at every straw to make themselves feel safe, and some of them include, arming themselves for no good reason. Then you happen when someone trying to play ding dong ditch, and the old guy shows up with a gun and blasts through the door without looking because they're all very paranoid. Oh my God, there's someone is breaking down a door. It's not. It's a prank. Hell, someone shot up a car that was put up on the wrong driveway.
No, there's a lot of gunfire. The one thing I do want to make sure that we don't forget, because literally tomorrow is the 10-year anniversary, is those 49 victims that lost their lives and the others that were injured. I don't know how it affected anyone else, but when I I remember that morning, and I lived in DC. I didn't live down here. I didn't have a personal connection. I remember seeing that story reported, and I literally let out a shout of just terror. Because it affected me so much seeing our community attacked in such a way. Do you have experiences like that?
Yeah, I was in the New York area, New Jersey, and I remember feeling just disbelief and wishing I could be there and do something, and just to feel powerless. And it was one person who took out and affected all those lives.
And I was actually in Orlando. I was on the other end of Orlando where the mouse is. And I did not know anything that was happening. We were already long in bed before the event happened. We only heard about it when we literally got up and I started reading the news. And that is when that realization hits. And we were stunned into silence, and it was terrible tragedy. I actually wrote a little piece on Medium about it back in the day. Don't read, it's terrible.
Well, we could talk about this, and certainly, I don't know if there's a formal moment of silence tomorrow, but we certainly encourage people to put positive energy out there and thoughts that a tragedy like this doesn't happen again, and to give comfort to those who lost family or friends in this incident. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.
I am Bobby Heenan. Let's queer up drag culture. RuPaul's Stop That Train debuts fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. RuPaul's drag-filled disaster spoof Stop That Train is earning positive early reviews ahead of its June 12th theatrical release, debuting with an 87% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The camp comedy stars RuPaul's Drag Race favorites Ginger Minj and Jujubee as best friend Tess and Dee Dee, trained stewardesses who leave their routine jobs aboard the stank rail for the glamorous Glamazonian Express. When a massive stormaganza threatens to send the train crashing into Los Angeles, the pair must join forces with first-class attendants played by Simone, Brooklyn Heights, and Marsha, along with RuPaul as President Gagwell, to save the day. Critics have largely embraced the film's over-the-top humor and self-aware tone. The Hollywood Reporter praised the film's leading duo, saying, quote, "The heart of this action comedy that's really a high-concept girlfriend movie is Ginger Minj and Jujubee. Their characterization in perfect sync, their rapport endearing, and their triumph of the underdog arc something worth rooting for." Well, congratulations, girls. 87% is nothing to sneeze at, with Rotten Tomatoes, especially given how competitive the movie landscape is. And spoof movie is one of those things that can either go really well or really disastrous. For a long time, I don't care for example, the scary movies, the scary movie franchise, which is a spoof series of movies, because they often default to blatant homophobia or gross gay jokes in order to make humor, and it's just off-putting. So, but there are really good ones like the original Airplane, which is where I'm sure that there's pulling a lot of inspirations from, and Naked Gun 33.5, and those are really good spoof movies that I think this is going to go on the Pantheon for. Plus, not to mention some LGBTQ very niche specific ones, like Another Gay Movie. I think there are like 2 or 3 of them.
Another Gay sequel.
Oh, yes.
And then I would even throw the Eating Out franchise into that. So, like, I love independent, bad queer movies. Yes. I love them, especially if they have naked men in them. Like, so for me, I'm just so glad that this is happening. Stop That Train looks very fun. I do have to go after some kids on TikTok. This is wonderful that it got such a high Rotten Tomato score, because there are these grifters on TikTok, and I do call them grifters, and you are grifters, people, where they are like, we think some backgrounds allegedly may have used AI, so they're trying to like cancel the movie, and I'm like, I can't stand you kids. This is a cute, funny movie. I just want to watch drag queens on a train with really bad jokes running around with decent makeup on, which I saw a clip about the makeup artist. It was like, oh no, we wanted makeup that didn't look garish. And I'm like, Thank you. So many of these girls look like beautiful drag queens in good makeup. And also, fun fact, I've met Juju B. She's absolutely divine. I can't wait to see what she does with this.
Yeah, well, I think it's something that we need right now, especially with the climate in our country, not only as a community, but I think that this could bridge out to potential allies or really maybe make people second guess what the conservatives are doing and just say, hey, they're just out there having a good time. Gays, drag queens, the community, they're fun people.
Well, RuPaul, I think she saves the world in that movie as the president, though.
I mean, there's also, right now there seems to be a stream of comedy coming out. There is a new scary movie sequel out.
Yeah, and, like 10 of them.
Yeah, well, they keep doing it, they keep rebooting it, and I don't even know where there's a joke coming on anymore. Like, how many jokes can you do?
I just saw Alex Miranda, I think, interviewing Anna Faris.
Yeah,
so
and I'm like, but actually, last week I did see one movie. I have a very rare return to me to movie theaters. I never go to movie theaters, but I did see The Backrooms, which is a complete opposite of this. It's like it's a psychological horror, so that's very good. So queer recommended.
Well, I'd like to also give a shout out to Latrice Royale, who I understand has a role in this as well. I had an opportunity many, many years ago before I moved here to meet her when she was doing a show in a former venue, I think where it is now. I forget what the bar was called.
Oh, it's
many years ago. And so just it's exciting to see so many people getting the opportunity to show their stuff.
Yeah, I met Latrice Royale. She did an event for us, and I remember we had to pick her up at the airport and everything. Absolute sweetheart. Yes. Absolute sweetheart. Could she drink a gallon of apple martinis? No comment.
Oh, well, is that a bad thing now? Come on.
No, if you can do it, heck, why not? Especially during Pride. Well, there's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight. I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up faith. Pope Leo condemns war and defends migrants as public dispute with Trump intensifies. Pope Leo has renewed his condemnation of war, telling worshippers in Barcelona that faith and violence cannot coexist. This comes amidst his public disagreement with President Donald Trump over Iran, which continues to grow. Speaking before thousands of worshippers at Barcelona's Sagrada Familia Basilica, including Spain's King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia, the Pope said, quote, "We cannot believe in Jesus and promote war. We cannot believe in Jesus and kill the innocent," end quote. The remarks come amid ongoing debate over U.S. military action against Iran. The Trump administration has defended its actions as necessary to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapons capability. Pope Leo, however, has described the concept of a just war used to justify the conflict as outdated. The dispute between Trump and the pontiff has intensified in recent months. In April, Pope Leo called the Trump's threat to destroy Iran truly unacceptable and urged Americans to ask lawmakers to work for peace. Trump later criticized the Pope as, quote, "weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy," end quote. Leo has responded by saying he had a, quote, "moral duty to speak out," end quote. The Pope highlighted migration during his Barcelona visit, saying Christians should not abandon those who flee from misery while continuing to advocate for respectful welcome and integration of migrants. Well, I think it's refreshing that we have a voice out there who has the balls to speak up against Trump, who's a dictator.
Well, I mean, Leo is from Chicago.
Yes.
Sorry for being vulgar, Your Holiness, but he gives no fucks. I mean, and also the attack from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is simply just weak. Why is he weak on crime? He is not a cop. He is not a mayor. He was an archbishop in Chicago. Yes. And, or wherever he was based. I don't remember, actually.
America.
Yeah, Latin America. Mm-hmm. But either way, he is not, the minister of safety or responsible for crime in any way. And weak on foreign policy, the man is not a pontiff. He's the absolute ruler and spiritual leader of a billion Catholics, and whose words carry weight in foreign policy just by he say so. And he doesn't need to consult a group of ministers. His word is law. He is technically an absolute monarch of the smallest country of the world.
And the United States does send an ambassador to Vatican City.
Excellent. Wait, isn't it Huckabee? No, that's Israel.
No, that's Israel. So it's a very different place. But I did almost laugh into the mic by accident when you quoting Trump saying he's weak on crime. That's absurd. Like, why do you... Weirdest statement. I'm not a Christian theologian, but like, yeah, I think I'm glad to see people are being like, oh yeah, Jesus doesn't seem to be a pro-war God. I'm like, no, like, he literally told his followers about the Romans, which they had done uprisings against the Romans in the past in Judea. He's like, no, turn the other cheek. That's a pretty aggressively anti-war take from that
Well,
guy.
to be fair, for a long time, the popes are very into wars. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, all the way until all the way until the papal states became part of
but
Italy.
we have Google now, so people can figure it out.
Well, it's good though, someone like Pope Leo or other spiritual leaders or people who want peace, we need to advocate for that, to balance it out. And, we're not the only spiritual nation. There are other nations that have, maybe they seem aggressive, but they have the potential to go back to their roots and be spiritual. I mean, it's all about preserving humankind in the future, because someone could push a button and
exactly, and
the world.
Which on the war thing specifically, we haven't even discussed it. Like, the war in Iran is such a disaster. It's such a human rights crisis. Like, the Iranian regime 6 months ago looked like it could collapse because they were brutally murdering thousands of people. Mm-hmm. And then Trump came in, and the regime is now the strongest it's ever been, possibly. They are expanding their influence on the globe. What he's done is a disaster for both the Middle East and this country, and it's great to see more people calling him out, whether they be the Pope or a guy on the street. And
cost of living has skyrocketed because now Iran has a justification to close the Strait of Hormuz, charge a toll to pass it, and oil that is needed, especially in Asia, is now essentially being rationed because oil tankers could not leave the area. And also, can we just point out that despite what the White House claims throughout the years, for many, many years, that Iran is 20 minutes away from having a nuclear bomb, we actually haven't seen one. Or any kind of progress towards one.
That is also the scariest thing is, if they had a nuclear weapon, none of this would be happening right now.
Yeah, well, one of the things I'd like to say before we go on to the next story, too, is, we look at someone and typically what has been a conservative religion, Catholicism, and you have Pope Leo speaking up and having the strength to do so. I challenge the right-wing evangelicals and related religions in our country to do the same in terms of standing up to Trump, but they don't. And they won't.
And I just want to add a final note. If you ever go to Barcelona, you must go to the Sagrada Familia. I mean, it's now taken hundreds of years to build. Antonio Gaudí is a singular genius in architecture, and the church has been built over several hundred years because of the fact 100 and something years now, because of the fact that they do not take donations. They do not even take subsidies from the Pope. They only rely on visitors' revenue and private donations. And it is a marvel. It looks like someone grow a coral up high with the spikes. They look organic.
Google it, kids. You gotta see
this. You
this.
guys are going to... It is... I'm not even religious, but I will gladly walk into a cathedral that looks like this. I just marvel at it.
Miss doing that, and I'll put that on my list. Many years ago, I had the opportunity to see some of the great cathedrals of Europe. I wish we could talk about this some more, but we're going to say there's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.
I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up the USA view. Celebrities decline White House birthday fight night event. Several celebrities are reportedly declining invitations to UFC fight night being held at the White House as the event faces mounting criticism and a last-minute legal challenge. Adam Sandler, Jared Leto, Tom Brady, and Dwyane "The Rock" Johnson are among the high-profile names said to be skipping the event. The celebrities had previously been linked to the guest list after UFC President Dana White discussed invitations during an interview last month. The outdoor UFC event is scheduled for Sunday evening on the White House South Lawn, where organizers have built a large octagonal stage known as the The Claw. Up to 5,000 guests are expected to attend. The event has also sparked backlash. UFC fighter Sean Strickland claimed he was prevented from appearing after criticizing President Trump, while podcaster Joe Rogan also questioned the event, saying, "The White House thing is odd. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of fighting outside at all," end quote. Meanwhile, the Public Integrity Project has filed a lawsuit seeking to block the event, arguing it violates federal regulations and lacks required approvals. Well, first and foremost, I just want to say it is so nice to see this KFC event crash and burn. This is the most absurd thing I think I've seen in forever. If you haven't seen pictures of this thing, kids, Google it. It's so
garish. Bizarre. It's garish, and it's like putting a circus. It'll be more tasteful if you put a Cirque du Soleil tent on the South Lawn. And also, I just want to. I know that we actually haven't listed the celebrities particularly, but including The Rock, Adam Sandler, Jared Leto.
We listed them already.
Yeah. But anyways, apparently the people who hasn't confirmed where they're going or not is Tom Brady.
We reported that he...
Yeah, but, it says that he is not confirmed. But the thing is, these people are usually the mainstays of the octagon. They are going there for the testosterone. They like to show their face. If these people are scurrying away, and this is just like the county fair that was supposed to happen, Freedom 250 or whatever, which is going to take place the week after that. And I think the 9 acts that was B-list or C-list, and basically all of them pull out except for Vanilla Ice. And now Trump is claiming that he's just going to hold a rally, which is not. That stuff is not supposed to be partisan. They're supposed to be a celebration of the 250th anniversary of America's founding, not to glorify one particular leader, one particular party, or one partisan perspective of any of this.
But that's what it is now. I think the most interesting thing is isn't Joe Rogan a former MMA fighter or something?
Yeah, no, he is an analyst and commentator.
So he's familiar with the whole genre. Yes. So for him to say you shouldn't be doing this is quite interesting.
And before we also talk, I want to talk about Strickland for a second. A lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, yes, it's such a good guy." So he's getting banned. He said that he's been banned, and people are like, "Oh, you must be because he criticized Israel." But actually, he is kind of weird in the way that he is actually an isolationist. He just criticized Israel.
More weird than the current incumbent in the Oval Office. What do you think, Larry?
Well, and I was very young. You were probably not born yet, but having gone through the bicentennial,
thank you for yes, I am not that old.
But looking at what was important during the bicentennial, no matter what party was in power, it was a very different experience. They celebrated history, they celebrated unification. And we didn't have all this bullshit going on that we're looking at now. You look at the incredible amounts of money that are being spent when we need the money for, the transgendered youth. And
Never mind that. How about SNAP? How about, healthcare?
People having cuts. It's just wrong in so many levels. And, I think we need to, certainly continue to put pressure on the administration to do the right thing, and hopefully we'll see that in the 2028 election.
Oh, and by the way, he also wants the events was also going to require a bunch of military members to show up. But apparently there is a fitness requirement, no fat service members or anyone who is, I think the underlying thing,
So if you can't be heavy and unhealthy to serve, does that mean you can't be heavy and unhealthy to be commander-in-chief? Have you looked at pictures of this man lately?
No, this is all about the optics. This is basically picking, the quote-unquote alpha male and females of the troops to stand behind the commander-in-chief. It's all very Nuremberg rally-esque.
But how Aryan of him.
Well, one can only hope that Melania wears something tasteful for the tricentennial, whatever it is. The 250.
Larry, why give people a fool's hope?
Well, there's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. TikTok spotlights rising queer creators as Pride content surges due to Pride Month. TikTok has unveiled its Pride Month programming, highlighting a group of rising LGBTQ plus creators and small business owners who are making an impact across the platform. According to TikTok, the initiative celebrates the extraordinary creativity of the LGBTQIA plus community by recognizing 8 creators and small business owners who continue to educate and inspire. Quote, the selected creators represent a variety of categories and will be featured across TikTok's official channels throughout Pride Month. They will also receive added visibility through the platform's Pride Hub, which will remain active all month long. TikTok says engagement around Pride-related content continues to grow between April 29th and May 28th, 2026. Posts, including the hashtag Pride TikTok, increased by 64%, while posts using hashtag Pride rose by 77%. The company says the growth reflects how users are continuing to express themselves authentically and celebrate Pride 2026 on the platform. Well, it's great to see that the numbers are up and that people are being authentic. And certainly the reality is you can be more authentic online. It would be great if people can take that to the next level and do it in their day-to-day lives and do it proudly.
Well, I mean, with TikTok, essentially has effectively replaced Twitter in the town square section of as long as you don't want to live in an echo chamber. I find my TikTok to be pretty useful. My feed has always been very good for me in terms of what I like. I know that some people have problems, especially after the American TikTok takeover by Oracle, because they start showing, I was going to say unfriendly content. So I don't know. I'm skeptical of TikTok algorithm and its governance. I feel like there's a lot of times when people would get bullying content even if they don't want any.
Well, there's two. One, like I look at TikTok not as much as Bobby. Love you, girl. You watch TikTok too much, girl. Put the phone down occasionally is what I have to tell this one with TikTok. But seriously, like on queer stuff, like the number of times I have seen TikTok literally take down LGBTQ related videos or comments, not for anything wrong, but like it has queer stuff in it. Like I've done comments where the video is about a gay bar. I'm like, oh yeah, I like this at a gay bar. And it'll be like, struck, you're not allowed to say that. And I'm like, thanks TikTok. So like maybe for Pride, you could let people say gay or lesbian and we're not saying it in a homophobic way, just maybe.
But there are actually hashtags like LGBTQ, MLM. There's lots of already existing LGBTQ identifying hashtags. You don't have to use TikTok Pride or use Pride, and of course, when it comes to just a singular word Pride, there's also the danger of what kind of Pride.
I do have to close that. I do have one more comment. I did notice it was showing who all the creators were, and like my half-assed TikToks and my 400 followers was not among them. What the heck, TikTok?
Well, you'll just have to try next year. All right. Well, that is an LGBTQ 1 Minute news story. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up the USA view. WeHo Pride drops Kathy Hilton as the 2026 Grand Marshal. WeHo Pride organizers have removed Kathy Hilton as the 2026 Grand Marshal icon and announced that no one will receive the honor this year following community backlash. Criticism of Hilton's selection included allegations about her political views and past claims that she used a homophobic slur, which she has denied. As a part of a protest against Hilton's involvement, Indigenous Pride LA withdrew from the June 7 parade, saying the choice did not reflect the values of Pride. City officials said Pride belongs to the community and thanked residents for their respectful dialogue. Well, I looked up who Kathy Hilton is. She's of those Hiltons, Paris's mom, and everything. And, she, it's just, once again, another rich person is just a victim of discrimination. And I hate that for you, Kathy. What the heck was she doing? She has nothing to do with Pride. This is the weirdest Pride Marshal I've ever heard.
Well, I mean, she is on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills,
Yeah.
which is a kind of campy classic for those people who enjoy the Bravo shenanigans, that are obviously catered to, queers of a certain type. But I also learned that she...
So for the record, just straight white women who were drunk on TV, that's a Pride event to you.
No, I didn't say that I watched the show. I just know that. But I also know that she supported the openly MAGA candidate Spencer Pratt for the LA mayoral election. So that is not a good look for her. I know that sometimes celebrities stick to each other. They are just like, hey, give me an endorsement. Of course I will.
Was she also accused of possibly being a big Trump supporter?
She has, and her daughter, the famous Paris Hilton, has also been accused of, because Paris actually admitted to voting for Trump in the 2016 election, 10 years ago. And apparently, according to her newest memoir, she no longer supports Trump, and now saying that, women's reproductive rights are being taken away, and therefore I no longer support them. But, Kathy, they are not, I'm not going to say that they are red hat wearing persons, but they certainly have supported people who are red hat adjacent. So do have to ask if WeHo Pride, can't you find someone?
And I know, and I could swear there are other major cities in the United States that have grand marshals.
Yeah.
So, and maybe it would have been a little more palatable, but the fact that she's had questionable political affiliations really makes one scratch their head, especially somewhere, WeHo of all places.
She's not queer. And I've been to WeHo once or twice. There's a couple homosexuals there, so And that is an LGBTQ 1-minute news story. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.
LGBTQ 1-minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Madonna to join Graham Norton for rare BBC One special ahead of Confessions 2 release. Madonna will sit down with Graham Norton for a rare one-off BBC One special later this month, just days before the release of her upcoming album, Confessions 2. The program, titled Madonna and Graham, is set to air June 26th and will feature a dedicated conversation focused on the pop icon's life and career. Unlike Madonna's previous appearances on the Graham Norton Show, the special will feature a single guest format rather than the traditional multi-guest panel. The broadcast comes ahead of the July 3rd release of Confessions 2, Madonna's 15th studio album, and a follow-up to her 2005 hit album Confessions on a Dance Floor. Now, Confessions on a Dance Floor is still, hung up. I still play that song once in a while. I mean, I cannot believe it's 20 years old. I'm ancient.
I was wondering if you were going to notice that.
And of course, Madonna is everywhere recently. Suddenly, it's burst out there. She's doing impromptu concert in the Times Square, sponsored by Grindr and then she has a short film where apparently green lasers coming out her lady parts. and
breast, dear?
No.
Her vagina. We can say that on TikTok or whatever, YouTube.
I don't want to be indelicate, okay? And also, as a Gold Star gay, I do not want to I don't want to use any word that will offend.
You don't want those words to come off your lips.
But good for her. She is now the elder gay icon of all time, just behind Cher. Sorry, Madonna. Cher. As long as Cher is still alive, you'll be second fiddle to that one. But I'm excited to try out this album. They already released a couple of songs featuring Sabrina Carpenter. It's like every decade she tried to find her successor. For a while it was Britney, and then it was Christina, and now Sabrina.
Well, people used to try and compare Lady Gaga to Madonna, and Lady Gaga very politely said, I write my own music and play a bunch of instruments. She went to Juilliard. It's not the same thing.
Oh, no.
And I'm not being shady at all. What are your thoughts, Larry?
Out there.
I hear what you're saying. It's great that we have such a diversity of opinions on this show.
Which I will say one thing before we close this out. So you all know, yes, I was old enough to dance at a club when this song when Confession came out in 2005.
I was already, what? I was already done. I just finished my master's
There's
degree.
no way you were in your 40s then, Bobby.
Oh. Well, shush. Yeah.
Close it out.
And that is an LGBTQ 1 minute news story. There is no other queer nonprofit home like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.
LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up politics. Sarah McBride draws cheers after Nancy Mace finishes 5th in South Carolina GOP primary. U.S. Representative Sarah McBride received a standing ovation at Equality PAC's National Pride Gala in Washington, D.C. after reacting to Representative Nancy Mace's poor showing in South Carolina's Republican gubernatorial primary. Addressing attendees Tuesday evening, McBride referenced Mace's placement in the race, saying, quote, "I don't like punching down, and I believe the politics of grace. So all I will say is, happy Pride, Nancy," end quote. The audience responded with laughter, applause, and a standing ovation. The remark came after McBride noted that Mace, whom she called, quote, Congress's top bathroom sheriff, end quote, was in a respectful 5th place as votes were being counted. Mace, a Republican congresswoman from South Carolina, has frequently criticized transgender rights and has often targeted McBride, the first openly transgender member of Congress. Well, good for you, Sarah McBride. I'm proud of you. And you did it in a way that, just said what you said and you weren't being cutting.
I mean, did Nancy Mace quit Congress to run for this, or is she still a congressperson?
She's not going to be a congresswoman much longer because she couldn't run for Congress while doing this.
Congratulations on congratulations, Mace, on the primary results. I'm sure the 5th place finish is it's just like what's her name, the one who competed against the trans women swimmer and lost into 5th place.
Oh God, yeah. Well,
Riley Gaines, thank you. So you're now just like Riley Gaines, finished 5th place, and now you can now make a career bitching about trans people now.
Well, as some viewers know, when I was media director at the task force, Sarah was running comms at HRC. So we saw each other all the time, and she's such a sweetie pie. Mm-hmm. And I think this is great for her. Great to see this happen at Equality PAC. As long as I'm getting Equality PAC right, I think it's the one that Juan Penalosa, the former ED of the Florida Dems that I worked for, had helped start. And I remember going to when they first started out in 2022, doing their first prep for it. It's just great to see that it's gone so big. Their events are going so far. And it's an all around wonderful story because it's like the people I personally like are doing well and the people I think are scum are losing.
Yeah. Well, we wish Sarah McBride the best. And certainly we wish everyone in the upcoming elections in November the very best. And hopefully a lot of states will be turning purple and blue. So that is an LGBTQ 1 minute news story. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.
LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up the USA View. Dwyane Wade documentary The Dads shows some families of trans youth leaving U.S. over safety fears. Directed by Emmy Award-winning filmmaker Lucina Fisher, The Dads follows fathers of transgender and non-binary children as they navigate political and legal challenges affecting their families. The film premiered at South by Southwest. Among those featured are Jose and Lizette Truella, who relocated abroad with their transgender son, Daniel. Jose says in the film, quote, "We came to a point where we realized it wasn't going to be safe for our families anymore. It wasn't going to be safe for Daniel anymore." The documentary also follows Texas father Ed Diaz, who sought a path to Canadian citizenship for his daughter. Charlie after the state's ban on gender-affirming care for minors, which took effect. Producer Stephen Chukumba said the filmmakers continued documenting events to create, quote, "There was a historical record of this time. The people couldn't go back and be like, oh, that never happened. It did happen, and we knew it happened because we filmed the whole thing as it was happening." You know, it's a powerful story. I do want to always remind people, you know, what we're experiencing in this country right now is really unprecedented with the number of people fleeing. For work, I do like economic stuff, and I remember that foreign-born people were leaving this country in such large numbers in 2025 that the U.S. workforce shrank for a little while. We've never seen that. And then U.S. citizens are fleeing this country in record that we've never seen. The number of people trying to end their U.S. citizenship is shockingly high number. It used to be like 100 a year. People, it's like in the tens of thousands right now. We are seeing an epidemic, a crisis of this country is literally becoming an authoritarian dictator.
Not to mention actually piggybacking on your point is the brain drain. I mean, with science funding being cut, with healthcare being cut, we're literally seeing other countries, Norway, France, Canada, Australia, are literally luring the best and the brightest from this country and leave because they might keep the citizenship, but they don't want to live here. And especially with no science grants, no medical, no research grants. I mean, what are they going to do? You get a PhD and get nothing. And people are on TikTok talking about how they got a PhD and all they can do a chemistry PhD, which is usually a very good research grants will take care of the problems. But because there's no more grants, they can't stay. They have to leave.
They're not being criminalized the way trans youth are being criminalized.
No,
that's a big deal.
And I wanted to say, certainly, the dedication of these parents, you know, if they feel that their children are endangered, to relocate to another country is a testament to their dedication. But it shouldn't be that way. And hopefully we'll see that there'll be a wave of people who only relocate because they want to go to a country and it's not because they feel that their family is endangered.
And I also want to shout out that filmmakers focus on the dads, because a lot of times we've got a lot of focus on the moms.
Yes.
But dad is traditionally seen as less likely to be supportive of queer and trans kids. That's the stereotype that media usually portray. That's the manliness thing, the machismo thing. So I'm very happy that the filmmaker focus on dads, guys, real men who actually support their kids instead of saying that the right thing to do is ostracize them.
We hear you. And, it's a very thought-provoking and emotional story, and that is an LGBTQ 1-minute news story. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ television show in the world that tells these stories and is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, happening on television network and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Larry Farver, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Alex Morash, Dr. Bobby Huen. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ world, we wish you a good night.
Night.